This is Toledo Symphony Lab, a behind-the-scenes look at the world of classical music from WGTE Public Media and your Toledo Symphony. I'm Brad Cresswell. Joining me today are the Toledo Symphony's president and CEO, Zach Vassar, also artistic administrator and principal second violin, Merwin Siu, and our guest panelist today is a Toledo favorite, conductor Giordano Bellincampi. He's coming to town to lead the TSO at the Peristyle. That's on September 29th and 30th, and on the program is Prokofiev's Third Piano Concerto, and also Beethoven's Symphony No. 3, the Eroica, or the Heroic Symphony, which gives rise to our subject today, which is hero music. Welcome to Zach and Merwin, and also to an extra special guest who is sitting over there at the microphone, and that is Robert Bob Clemens, henceforth known as Clem, cellist in the orchestra. You're the resident thespian, and we're going to get to that a little bit later on. But first, I want to ask everybody, let's chime in with a favorite piece of heroic music, preferably not, superhero music, but music from, say, the concert repertoire. Zach, you want to go first?
You just took away my answer. I can't talk about the movies. Okay,
well, you can talk about the movies.
Honestly, I think about the Indiana Jones thing. That was, when I was a kid, that was the idea of heroism, was bam, ba-dum, bam. That was it.
Merwin, you have a favorite piece?
It's maybe a somewhat different vein. I think to the Shostakovich First Violin Concerto. And he was feeling the incredible repression of the government, and then writing this piece that just tears at the heart. And to me, that's incredibly heroic. That's probably playing that Passacaglia is just defiant and bold and powerful.
Clem, you want to chime in? I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but
mine is probably the most obvious. It would be Strauss, Heldenleben.
Oh yeah, A Hero's Life, or
Thank you.
A Hero's Journey.
Like I said, obvious.
But the hero in this case is Strauss himself.
Strauss himself, yes.
Well, I have a supercut of different pieces of hero music, and as we know, heroes come in all different flavors, all shapes, all sizes. So this little musical conglomeration illustrates that to a certain extent. We'll leave the microphones open while we play the recording so we can comment as we go along. So if you think that you know something, you can say it if you want, and I'll tell you if it's a yes or a no. So let's hear it now. You may have played some of this from time to time.
That was quite a transition.
I expect to see this on the Toledo Symphony program soon.
In this order?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
This is a lesser-known excerpt from a really well-known piece.
I'm stumped.
I am too.
That's one from the Opera House, by the way. This is not from the Opera House.
Are those even real strings?
Yeah. Maybe this one you can just get the composer.
I like how
It's kind of an obtuse reference.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I think we went from Handel to something.
Yeah.
What did we go to?
This was about a real person.
that's a very smooth transition.
Yeah.
I quite liked it.
Yeah.
You can see where
Well,
you
they're basically the same piece. That's why.
I quite seriously jumped.
Here's a clue. It's music that sounds quite happy, right? You might even say it sounds merry. This is our last example.
I'm stumped.
This actually is from the Opera House, too, sometimes performed. Yeah. Written in the late 1600s.
Mm-hmm. Beautifully played.
I managed to cut out all the singing.
Oh.
Particular piece. So some of you were, kind of scribbling stuff down as we went along. Do you want to go work backwards? Do you want to go back to the beginning? How shall we attack this here? The piece that we just heard, did anybody get that?
Not at
That
all.
was Fairest Isle from King Arthur of Henry Purcell.
Henry Purcell.
Right. And before that,
Well, you gave me a cheat code, so
Yeah.
that's probably one of Korngold's pirate scores.
yeah, The Adventures of Robin Hood,
Okay.
March of the Merry Men.
Okay.
And then we heard like a little mashup there between John Williams
And
Strauss.
Richard
Yeah.
Strauss,
Yeah.
right? We had that love theme from Superman, which bears a striking resemblance to Death and Transfiguration.
Transfiguration,
Right.
What does that
Came
say
next.
about love?
Exactly.
It does
Or
say
about-
that we're really bad at reading Brad's mind.
Maybe.
I can't read his mind at all.
We also heard a little Philip Glass.
Is that
Merlin,
Einstein on the beach?
Einstein on the Beach.
Yeah.
So
The,
Albert
the number
Einstein,
song.
the hero there. Now, did anybody get what we had before that? It was Handel.
Handle.
Yeah.
Yeah, the March from Hercules, the Oratorio Hercules. And then we had two cuts, one from the Opera House, a well-known excerpt, The Dance of the Blessed
Gluck,
Spirits,
yeah.
from Orpheus and Euridice. And after that, we melded nicely into the theme from another superhero. You know what it was?
I'm lost.
The Incredible Hulk.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but the TV series. It's called The Lonely Man theme. And then we had our third one was, I said it was an excerpt, a lesser-known excerpt from a really well-known work. And the well-known work are the legends from the Kalevala of Jean Sibelius.
Wow.
We heard Lemminkainen's Return, which is the fourth movement from that. And we began, does anybody know what we began with?
Yeah,
Lincoln.
Copeland. Lincoln
Copeland
Portrait.
Lincoln
Yeah.
portrait, Abraham Lincoln. And then after that, we had music of Bernard Herrmann, The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. Sinbad the Sailor. Kind of a hero. I guess he falls into that category. So there's our supercut. We managed to waste a good 6 or 7 minutes with that. So that's okay. And as you heard, lots of differences in mood there between superheroes, or lots of different kinds of heroes, as it were, and expressed differently. So now we're going to turn to this subject of Beethoven's Eroica Symphony, or the Hero Symphony itself, and we're going to talk with Maestro Giordano Bellincampi momentarily about that, but I thought it'd be fun to sort of set the stage first by telling the story behind it. There's a famous story that Beethoven dedicated it to Napoleon, and then Napoleon became emperor, and Beethoven scratched his name out on the manuscript. In fact, you can still see it if you go to Google and look for it. You can see the image of it, which exists, I believe, in Vienna somewhere. And we are fortunate in the fact that we actually have Napoleon and Beethoven both here in the studio with us, and are going to act out the they're going to reenact the scene that took place all those many years ago.
I am Napoleon, and from now on I shall be your kind and generous leader. Together we shall establish a Grand République. We shall rival the wonders of the ancient Rome. Liberté, égalité, fraternité, forever! Yay! Guten Tag, Herr Bonaparte. I am Beethoven. I admire your democratic values. In fact, I shall dedicate my third symphony in your honor, and even write your name on the front page. B-U-O-N-A-P-A-R-T-E, Bonaparte. Napoleon here. You know what? I changed my mind. I am no longer first consul. I am now first emperor of France. Yay! Gott in Himmel, he is just like all the others. Well, forget it. I shall banish his name from the score forever.
Okay, well, that was fun. You know, $1 million we spent on that alone. We completely blew the budget on our Beethoven and Napoleon. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All one of them.
Well, we
did get a great trumpet player in.
Yeah, that's true. That's most of the money usually goes on trumpet players, as we know. Not so much on the cellist. Well, sometimes the cellist. But thanks to Bob Clemens, Clem, from the TSO for serving as our thespian for today. I hope
Thanks for inviting me.
We're going to have you come back and do all kinds of different reenactments for us, just so you know.
Looking forward to
ahead of time. Talking about the Beethoven Third Symphony, the Heroic Symphony, you've mentioned, Bob, that this holds a special place in your heart.
It does indeed. It was the very first piece I ever played with the Toledo Symphony Orchestra.
Wow. And when was that?
1986, 1987, under Yuval Zalyuk.
Wonderful. Okay, so we're going to bring in our special guest right now, who is the wonderful conductor Giordano Bellincampi, very familiar with Toledo audiences. And you're on the phone. Maestro, are you there?
Yes, good morning.
Where are you right now?
Right now I'm in the southern part of Norway, Europe, in the town of Kristiansand, where we have a beautiful orchestra and beautiful new concert hall, and we are rehearsing and opening Verdi La Traviata tomorrow.
Wow. How's the weather out there in Norway?
Oh, well, actually today it's sunny and very nice, kind of little Indian summer, but mostly it has been quite cold and windy and rainy.
Yeah. Oh, well, we're glad that you could join us today. You're going to be here this weekend, September 29th and 30th at 8 o'clock p.m. at the Paris Style, conducting Rossini, also the Prokofiev Piano Concerto No. 3, and the subject of our podcast today, the Symphony No. 3 of Beethoven, the Eroica, or the Heroic Symphony. And a couple of moments ago, we had sort of a little skit where we enacted the backstory behind that story between, Beethoven and Napoleon, where he scratched out the dedication on the manuscript. I wonder if you have anything that you want to add to that. You want to talk about that wonderful story?
Well, it's always interesting with the anecdotes that are around music. They somehow put some perspective on this incredible art form. And of course, Beethoven had this particular interest in the ideas of the freedom and the kind of revolutionary feeling that was in France at that period. We also know that from his great freedom opera Fidelio. On the other hand, this is just part of the story, and actually the most important thing about this score is actually the music or the notes that are within, and they are in themselves very revolutionary.
What sets this symphony apart from all the other stuff that was going on at the time? I mean, if we set our Wayback Machine back to the early 1800s. What was going on in music then, and what makes this symphony so special?
Well, first of all, the medium of the symphony was very much established by Haydn, and the classical form, especially of the distribution between the movements and the structure of the first movement with the very clear sonata form, with the introduction and everything, which Beethoven also follows, which we also know from, for instance, his first symphony, which is completely traditional. But here in the third symphony, there are so many new ideas and so many things that are revolutionary to the conception of the symphony at that time. For instance, the length itself, it is a very, very big score in every way. The orchestra size, he adds a third horn to the wind section, which is very, very audible. And then we have this opening of the first movement, where normally we have a slow introduction and then we establish the first theme. And here we just get these two enormous E-flat major chords, and then this strange, wonderful theme starts off in the cello. And that is true revolution. It must have been a shock for the audiences to hear that.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to shock audiences these days.
I always think of this as if Haydn had a surprise symphony, this would be Beethoven's surprise symphony.
Yeah.
Just at the beginning.
One can say that, yes.
There are points along the way, though, where you kind of get lulled into this feeling of calm, with especially some of the woodwind writing. And then it gets very loud very fast. There are many points in the middle of the first movement where I feel like this happens. This sort of eerie stability emerges, and then Beethoven catches us all off guard.
Well, there's a lot of stormy weather that goes on, and a little bit of calm before and between the storm. I think it's interesting to note that, this symphony came, now we know, came on the heels of the Heiligenstadt Testament, where Beethoven was writing to his brother. Oh,
yes. Well, yeah. He was writing to his brother. I can't remember exactly the text of that, but surely the mood of this is really, really strong and impressive.
Yeah. I didn't mean for you to recite the text from memory, but
it would have been impressive.
Yeah, I mean, he was obviously depressed because he was losing his hearing at that time. He was already struggling with that, and some people read that, they think of it as a suicide note. It was sort of like the lowest of the low for him, but he never sent it or had it shown to anybody. We found it after. In his papers after his death, but just seeing that he was at such a low point. And then you look at the Symphony No. 3, you might even think of it a little bit as like kind of his therapy, to get him out of the funk.
Well, if you're looking at just the range of emotions between the very beginning of the fourth movement and then that pizzicato right after that, it's this incredibly stormy beginning, and then all of a sudden it's the most light-hearted theme that it always shocks me when I first hear it.
Is that challenging for you as a conductor, maestro, to make those mood shifts and to keep everything together that way?
Well, first of all, I would like to say, once again, I think all the stories that we have around the music are really, really important. But the way that the big composers, like, for instance, Beethoven, really communicate with us is strictly musical. So, for instance, the way that he changes from the first symphony, where we have this first theme, which is this major theme, boom, 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 very, very simple. And here he actually once again uses a major chord, ra di da 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 di da, but then goes to the seventh, ra di, which makes it so open. And also, of course, in the second movement, and in the scherzo, and in the finale, so strong ideas in each movement. That is actually what the way I think that this a composer like Beethoven communicates with us. The pure energy of the musical writing, and yes, the changes of atmosphere in the various movements, they are challenging, but on the other hand, it is such a natural form of writing that personally, as a conductor, I really try to do as little as possible, because the music is actually so strong in itself, and if we are really focused on reading what is exactly in the parts, then things develop.
Have you conducted Beethoven before in Toledo, or will this be the first time?
Oh, as far as I remember, it must be the first time. Mervyn can surely remember, because I'm so pleased to have been back so many times, but I don't think we have done any Beethoven together before.
We did at one point over a decade of different collaborations, traced the different composers that you had done and noticed that we needed to do a Beethoven symphony.
Oh, that's good. Thank you, Mervyn.
It was like, we need to do a Beethoven symphony together. Yeah. We've done Rouse, we've done Strauss, we've done Brahms, but not Beethoven.
You were saying?
No, I was just saying the kind of natural writing that is in the score, for instance, of the Eroica, is an inspiration every time. Technically, it is really challenging for the orchestra to play. The first movement is fast, but this last movement is really fast. So it is something that really every time gets every orchestra excited. And still we had those beautiful moments, naturally, the shift between the C minor and the C major in the second movement, where we somehow feel this eternal depth of the music. And it is always a pleasure to rehearse, and even more pleasure to play it for the audiences. So we are really looking forward to it.
Great. I'm not familiar with all these other pieces, but I've read that the Third Symphony has a theme, I guess, in the fourth movement that Beethoven kept using over and over again in other pieces.
Yes. For instance, in Prometheus, he uses it in the ballet music for Prometheus, yes.
Was that common for Beethoven? Did he recycle stuff like that, or was it just...
Not much, but, there are other examples where he uses themes more times. But it is a way of kind of feeling this freedom. This is also what is the theme of the Prometheus myth. So we have this journey through this heroic and this very deep sensation in the second movement, and the scherzo with the glorious horn theme, going into this flying away at the very end. So yes, it also, in this sense, it was revolutionary and new, because he started off what is even more clear in the Fifth Symphony, where we have a recapitulation of the theme of the scherzo, and then, of course, in the Ninth Symphony, where we, in the last movement, kind of have a potpourri of all the main themes of what has been in the other movements. This is a completely new idea of having a symphony that kind of wraps up things in the finale.
Yeah, it's an exciting experience in the concert hall.
I'd like to ask a question. Giordano, this is the first of 3 or 4 performances, 3 on the classics, 4 overall for the season. So if you're starting here with Beethoven, Prokofiev, Rossini, you come back in January with Brahms and Beethoven. We have a concert at Rosary Cathedral in the spring, and then we finish with Mahler and Bernstein. Do you see an arc to this? Is there something that was important to you in bringing these pieces to our orchestra this year?
Definitely. It is. I think it is always important for an orchestra to play at least one Beethoven and one Brahms symphony every season in the classic series, and I'm really, really honored that I would be able to perform this with the Toledo Symphony this year. Of course, there is an anchor in every symphony orchestra's repertoire, which is in the German repertoire, where the idea of the symphony orchestra somehow has its roots. So I'm really pleased that we can work on Beethoven and Brahms and Mahler together, but also adding the colors of the Russian and American and Italian repertoire to it. So I'm really, really looking forward to explore this score with the Toledo Symphony. We, as Mervyn said before, we have been through a lot of repertoire together, and this is such an important milestone in the symphonic repertoire that I'm really looking forward to hear the musicians of the Toledo Symphony perform this and give their ideas to the score. And I'm sure we'll have a great time, and hopefully the audiences will enjoy it together with the rest of the program, which is also quite challenging and exciting. So, yeah, I think it will be a great season opening.
You want to say anything about the Prokofiev piece, just while we have you on the phone?
Oh, yes. That is an incredible show off for the soloist, and I'm so pleased to bring a good, very young friend from Italy, Leonardo Colafelice, who did so very well at the Cleveland piano competition recently. He's a fantastic musician, a fantastic pianist, and there are a lot of people out there that can play a lot of fast notes on an instrument, but not so many that can actually really play great music. And we have performed, actually performed Beethoven piano concertos together before, and Rachmaninoff, and he is a great, great pianist. So I'm looking forward to this piece that even already after the first movement, one thinks, it cannot be any more virtuoso, but it actually does. It's really a show off for the pianist, and nice, and also I think fits very well with the orchestra virtuosity in the Rossini overture in the Gazzaladra. So I think we'll have an exciting evening.
Yeah, it sounds like a wonderful program. Well, that's happening the 29th and 30th of September at the Paris Style at 8:00 p.m. Maestro Giordano Bellincampi with the Toledo Symphony, music of Rossini, Prokofiev, and our subject today, the Eroica Symphony of Ludwig van Beethoven. Maestro, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon.
You. See you very soon. See you soon. Thank you. Bye.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Well, that just about does it for time. I want to thank Zach and Merwin for joining me today, and as well as Bob Clemens, and also to Maestro Giordano Bellincampi. The concerts are this weekend, September 29th and 30th at 8:00 p.m. at the Paris Style, Beethoven's Eroica Symphony, alongside the Piano Concerto No. 3 of Prokofiev, and the overture to La Gazzaladra, or the Thieving Magpie, an opera by Gioacchino Rossini. Toledo Symphony Lab is generously underwritten by a gift from the estate of Barbara Garwood and is a production of WGTE Public Media in collaboration with our sponsor, the Toledo Symphony. You can download episodes of this program as a podcast by going to our website at wgte.org. You can also go to the Toledo Symphony website, catch up there with everything that's going on. That's toledosymphony.com. They also have plenty of social media outlets, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I'm Brad Cresswell. You've been listening to Toledo Symphony Lab here on FM 91.